Well, first of all, I'm Tom Schumacher. I'm an attorney at Bakke Norman, and I want to welcome all of you here this morning for our initial breakfast with Bakke Norman. And looking at what's over there, this pretty much consists of what I have for breakfast every day, which is several cups of high-octane coffee. I do want to thank you for joining us here this morning. The genesis for this program were some comments and conversations that we had at our office when we began to note that several of our clients were doing business internationally. And these were clients from Balsam Lake, Clear Lake, Somerset, Osceola, Baldwin, Richmond, River Falls, Hudson, all area communities here, but not typically the communities or that you would think of with respect to international business. And so we began to think that there'd be some benefit to have some discussions and provide some information not only to clients but to ourselves about some of the pluses and minuses and some of the hurdles that are involved in doing business internationally. And although our focus here this morning is on doing business in China or with China, we also recognize that our clients do business in Canada, Mexico, Germany, England, and other countries as well. Earlier this summer, I was reading an article in Corporate Report, Wisconsin. That's a magazine that it comes for free, I think, and I think now primarily folks get it electronically. But there was an article in there that was entitled Think Globally, but Act Locally. And in that article, they talked about export business from Wisconsin, and then they contrasted that to some work, the export business in Germany. And it says, from that article, today Wisconsin ranks 11th in the nation for all exports of manufactured goods and 19th in value of all exports. Wisconsin produced $20 billion of income in the state in 2010, but that only accounted for 7% of the gross state product. There's a tremendous opportunity outside the United States for sales of Wisconsin products. 3/4 of the world's purchasing power and 95% of the consumers are outside of the United States. It then went on to say that while Wisconsin manufacturers have a long way to go to develop a global presence, it's quite different in industrial Germany. That region matches up well with Wisconsin. It produces high-quality, value-added products. The difference is that German companies export as much as 80% of their products. They are connected globally and source talent from around the world. And I know that in the media, and there's discussions about, we got to not export jobs, not, all these jobs are going to other countries and stuff. But I think the reality of it is we're in a global economy. We're in things cross borders. And if we think simply within our own communities or our own state or our own country, we're probably limiting our opportunities from a business perspective. This program is the inaugural edition of what we plan to have as a quarterly event. Again, I want to thank you for attending. And the format here this morning is that we're going to listen to some comments by our panelists, and then we will have a question and answer period. And hopefully everybody will come away with some additional knowledge that they didn't have before we met here today. And then the idea is we'll have this continue and we'll kind of wrap it up by 10 o'clock so that you can get back to your office or to your manufacturing facility. At this point, I'd like to just introduce our panelists. And I see Helen, I see her up there on the screen. Helen Hughes is joining us by Skype from Shanghai. Where she practices corporate law with the international firm of Menomonie and Myers. Helen was born in China and she holds law degrees from both China and the U.S. Prior to moving back to China, Helen practiced in the corporate law department of Minneapolis along with Adam Jarko in the office of Fulbright and Jaworski. Next on my far left, I guess it is Morgan Nelson Jr. Morgan Sr. is sitting over here at this table. And Morgan is the Global Strategic Sourcing and Procurement Manager at Bishop Fixtures and Millwork in Balsam Lake. In that role, Morgan leads Bishop's strategic sourcing and procurement in China and Greater Asia. Because of his work in China, Morgan has developed an extensive network of Chinese partners. Next, in the middle, is John Novak. John is the Vice President and Manager of International Services at Bremer Bank. In that role, John has responsibility for training and consulting in international services. John has over 40 years of international banking experience at multiple financial institutions dealing with international finance. And last but not least, on my near left, is Walt Maurer. Walt is the Chief Operating Officer at Lynn Shoe Company, which is located next door to Richmond here in Somerset, Wisconsin. Lynn also has offices in Jacksonville, Florida. Lynn sources much of its product from China, and Walt oversees that sourcing and manages Lynn's relationships with its Chinese suppliers, and spends, I believe, Morgan and Walt both spend substantial periods of time each year in China.